It's called a promo,
Shut
kid.
your
And
mouth,
if you want to
John.
be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do it. So go ahead.
You ready? No! I said, are you ready?
That was good. Glad you finally decided to pull that giant stick out of your butt and have some fun for once in your life.
You're uneducated marks! You sit there on your phones tweeting out your opinions like they're worth a damn. Let me explain something to you people. You don't know shit!
And I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's death.
All right, it's official. We are officially locked in, back from Revolution. Martin of Four Sides of the Ring.
How y'all doing? Thank you for having me.
So, you are just back from a pay-per-view. I'm getting ready to drive to Raw here in a couple hours. So, it's the first time I'm breaking down a pay-per-view, but I'm excited to have your company here to do it.
Of course.
Let's see. Going into my notes, the first thing I have is I'm jealous that you met Sean Ross last night.
Lovely guy.
Sean Ross.
But like it's so
Really?
funny because we got there and we went to go buy like the refillable sodas, all the necessary stuff you need to make it through the whole night. And I'm standing in line and I just look to my left and I tell Marcus, I'm like, bro, I'm like 90% sure that's SRS. And he's like, what? And I was like, bro, I'm like 90% sure. Like, I know what he looks like. I've seen him on like, Wrestle Talk and I Fightful News and all this stuff with Denise Salcedo, everything. I was like, I know Sean Ross Sapp. And he's just, no one's bothering him. He's just standing there. He's talking, just to his wife. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go ask if it's him. And if it is, like, it's going to be cool. If it's not, I'm just going to walk away. And I went up there and he just looked at me and I was like, you're Sean Ross Sapp? And he was like, yeah, man. I was like, dude, it's a pleasure to meet you. And he was like, yeah, we took photos. He was a real lovely guy. Like, really nice.
Man, it's one of the few journalists I can trust.
Right. Like
One of the few journalists I trust. Jay White reminds everybody he's more than a 0 hour act. That also happened.
Yeah. Jay White
He
needs to come up the card, I understand, but play his role for a little bit.
know your role,
I mean?
he said.
Like, Jay White's lovely,
Yeah,
but
I hear he's
just give it some time, bro.
I hear Big Business, he's scheduled to wrestle Darby Allin. I haven't watched the media scrum yet, but this is what I'm hearing.
Kind of scared to watch that after what Darby was
Dude,
doing.
One thing, I wish I could have been there live because dealing with the Bleacher Report bullshit last night was a nightmare. It took me like 45 minutes to get into the pay-per-view.
Damn.
I was over it. I wish they would go ahead and get on a streaming platform. I thought they had a deal with Max already.
I think they're actually going to announce that
nauseating.
soon. I'm pretty sure that's still happening, the HBO Max thing. So
I keep like predicting it every huge announcement. It's never the huge announcement. So I missed a lot of the TNT title match, but I know despite Daniel Garcia's best efforts, he was not going to take the title off of Christian Cage.
right. I will say though, I don't know how we sounded through, the TVs and all this, but we started off as like a super hot crowd. And for Daniel Garcia, we were all for him. Like, there wasn't anyone around that wasn't cheering for that man. Like, everyone wanted him to be, like, go ahead and win. And, when they started doing the shenanigans and Daddy Magic came out and took out Luchasaurus, which was really, it should have been someone bigger. Probably should have been, like, Jake Hager or somebody. But it was like, we were like, yo, he's getting these moments. The false finishes on this whole show, actually. Like, all the false finishes were just right there, had us on our seats. It was something.
Dude, he is hot right now. And as far as like how you guys sounded, I think that makes a lot of sense. One of my complaints, which wasn't a deep complaint, was you could at many times not hear the commentary because the crowd was so loud.
Like we was hyped for this show. It was great.
16,000. is it 17,000
I think
people?
so. They did a quick
even know.
announcement for it, I guess, between the matches. But just standing there, I was loud last night.
I would have been too, especially how much wrestling there was, like pure
Oh, yeah.
wrestling right off the bat. It was about as quality wrestling matches to be expected. I didn't expect the finish, but I can never be mad at a good match. Kingston retaining the Continental Crown Championship against Bryan Danielson.
That match was like, I really thought they were going to give it to Daniel Bryan. And I sat there and I was like, because I feel like Daniel Bryan always loses at this point. You know what I mean? Like, he's always losing.
Yeah.
And at least the important
Right.
stuff, he's winning on Dynamite. That's cool. But when it comes to these pay-per-views, he's like always losing. And I was sitting there and I was like, well, BCC's got to lose to FTR, right? Because this is North Carolina. So I was like, so this is Daniel Bryan's match. But no, they let Eddie win, and we popped for that too. We love Eddie. So it's just, then he embraced him. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure that was on camera, but he embraced them a lot after the match. So it was pretty lovely to see, actually.
Yeah. I can very much agree with that. And with Danielson, too, I mean, he said himself he didn't want to win championships. So I'm never surprised when he doesn't win. I enjoy this whole last year run he has for what
Right.
it is. I've seen some badass matches in the
But I want to
process.
see him hold one. I don't care which one it is. I want
Right?
to see him hold one. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought that TNT title was his.
right. I wouldn't mind if he went for the Ring of Honor one more time. You know what I mean? And like, just
Right?
finish your career
Thank you.
correctly, in my opinion. Give that man a title. Just one run.
That is how I found Daniel
Right.
Bryan Danielson. So, unlike the championship scramble, the match doesn't totally suck, but adequate name for the scrambly action of whatever the fuck this was. It was Wardlow winning, and we all knew that that's what it was.
This was, and I say this with 100% confidence, this was everyone's break to go get your merch, to go refill your sodas, to go get your food, because that's exactly what me and my brother did. We're like, all right, we're going to see the entrances, and then we got to do this real quick. They're going to get like 15 minutes max. From what I did see,
Bit of a cluster.
From what I did see, it was very sloppy. In all respect. I mean, it's a lot of guys in the ring. It's going to be hard to keep it tight as it is. Dante Martin messed up 2 times, like, continuously in, like, one sequence.
Broke my heart.
I think the crowd being there live, I think we all wanted Hook to win. But we all knew, like, it's Wardlow's match. Like, so that was okay. I bought a Sting cardboard cutout during this match for the final. I dropped a good $40 on that. But that's what I did during this match. It was just, that was the bathroom break match. I hate to say it, but it was.
That was the bathroom. Well, and there wasn't a lot of context as to what a scramble was to them. I didn't know if there was eliminations that were supposed to be had. Yeah,
but
it was
one last side note about that. The Judas entrance is one of the best things I ever partake in. Like, it's something to see and do live, sing it. Like, you don't think you know the words to Judas, but you do. You do know the words to Judas.
Oh, I do. Surprisingly, I do, because I was listening to that song when it first came out years ago. I actually got a tattoo during the time it got put out, and I got a little alien named Judas on my arm. I did not expect that song to become what it is today.
Oh, it's crazy.
Certainly.
Like, it's the entrance song. You know what I mean? Like, but man, it was something. I was screaming. I was screaming for Judas.
Dude, that Cody Rhodes theme, I pop every time.
I still
and I'm
still
gonna
haven't
do it
seen
tonight.
that one live.
Oh man, it's a ride. It's a roller coaster when Cody Rhodes walks in the building. Back to quality wrestling, as expected. Cassidy with another great workhorse reign, doing it back to back. But ROH legend Roderick Strong could not be denied. Could not be denied. Also, returned Kyle O'Reilly.
That was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
He was instantly recognized in the crowd. Like, we were all like, "Oh, is that Kyle?" I don't know.
Yeah.
It looked like from the ring he whispered something to him. I don't know if they had the camera picked up what he said. We couldn't hear, obviously. I haven't rewatched the show on TV yet. But
Interesting.
he does whisper something to him, and I think I'm like 80% sure here. The kingdom part of the Undisputed, that's gonna go very soon. It's gonna be the era. We're getting the whole era back.
Dude, that'd be
You know,
sick. What people are talking about online is how ill he looked. People are saying he looked a little sick. They're talking about the diabetes band on his arm. So that's what a lot of people were talking about after the fact. We're like, damn, is he
he's
okay?
been out for like almost a year now, right? Going on like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's been some time.
But I mean, to see him come out, like I said, we popped for that. I do think, personally, you know, what do they call it? The Undisputed Kingdom is what they're calling themselves. They won all their matches. That's pretty cool. I still think
that is
taking the belt off Cassidy and having the best friends. I know he told him earlier in the show. He said, "Don't come out." It's just something about like good guys not having friends in wrestling that always gets down to me. Because I'm like, for once, like AEW's real big on giving good guys friends. Like it's always Sting and Darby. They've always came for the saves and all this other stuff. But I'm sitting there and I was just like, you know, as soon as he said, "I don't want you guys out there," and they were like, "All right, no problem," I was just like, well, clearly he's going to get jumped after the match. Like, you know,
it kind of makes the predictability meter go
There was
up.
a lot of hugging on this show, and that first hug between Kyle and that was a pop for me. I was like, oh man, I was like, he ain't gonna do it. I was like, they're good friends, man. He ain't gonna hit him. Then they hugged. They did the shirt thing, and I was like, oh, he's gonna rip the shirt. He's gonna rip the shirt. And I was like, oh no, nope. They're still boys. They're still boys.
That whisper makes it interesting. That whisper makes it interesting.
They needed something interesting for this storyline, and I think this is it. So,
yeah, I can agree with that 100%. Still on Good Wrestling, FTR and BCC, which BCC paying tribute to the Road Warriors with their entrance. That was fucking badass.
It was awesome.
That was awesome.
I kind of wish that FTR would have did some tribute to like the Four Horsemen, even though they kind of always do. It's kind of their whole gimmick, to be honest. But it was just like, you know, North Carolina. But I sat there and was like, well, this match is gonna be a banger. But this is FTR. Like, every time we go,
FTR North Carolina,
right? Every time we go to a show, every time I've never seen FTR lose. It doesn't matter if I'm in Charlotte. Doesn't matter if I'm in Greensboro. Doesn't matter if I'm in Raleigh. I've never seen them lose in North Carolina. This is FTR country. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I was like, this match is going to be a banger. And when they did the double submission spot, I was like, all right, so how are they getting out of this? And I was like, oh, that's the match. And I sit there, I was like in shock. I was like, Carolina boys losing in Carolina? Okay.
Yeah. That was not expected. I think that the Road Warrior entrance gave him ultimate strength.
But man, what a match! I mean, the spots were incredible.
Yeah.
Even with John Moxley, like he kind of went out of his wheelhouse, and you know he was doing some suicides, and I mean, it was what a match, man! Like, it's not my match of the night because we all know what that was. But
yeah,
there's one match that just
I
can't believe I'm still processing it.
Dude, I popped for the old Tony Storm entrance too. When Mariah May came out, Tony Storm.
Oh, dude, did they fool me?
I got swerved.
I was sitting next to my brother and a stranger who was a really nice man, and I think me and this stranger, like literally, we threw arms over each other. We're like, oh shit, oh! And I was sitting there, man. I was like, yo, she came out with the '80s entrance, and then my brother looks, he goes, I think that's Mariah, and I was like, no. And then they started doing her timeless entrance, and I was like, oh, they got me. I was like, they got me.
Swerve.
That was as good as Dana Brooke coming out as Ric Flair that one time. Like that was fucking
hilarious.
It was that good of a disguise because it fooled me.
Damn.
I do. So, fun fact: me and my brother are from New Jersey. As you know, one of our co-hosts is the Zombie King. Who's a professional wrestler. His dad being Frankie Flo. He had LAW. They're big ECPW people. They used to train and started their careers with Deonna Purrazzo. I've met Deonna. My brother's locked up with Deonna. She's a lovely person. I've always been rooting for her whole career because it's like I know that person kind of status. She's come a long way. She deserves everything she has. This match, I will say, I don't think it was her best, personally, but I was still rooting for her, and I knew she wasn't gonna win. You know what I mean? It was like Tony's the hottest thing on their whole program, and I want to see Tony versus Mercedes Moné, of course. So it's like,
yeah.
But man, I felt like I was telling my brother, I was like, we kind of as a crowd member, we kind of disappointed as far as the noise that we were trying to make for these other matches and the noise that we made for the women's match, and I was a little disappointed in myself.
Right.
But it has to do with Deanna's name, man. It's a long name to be chanting. Like, we were like, Tony Storm, Deanna Purrazzo.
I've never actually had to chant it now that I think about it.
It's a long name.
I mean, I was in the same position as you. It's like, I wanted her to win, of course, but I didn't see it happening with how much more you can do with Tony Storm's momentum. Right. And then, yeah, I guess I never really thought about that. I just started watching it in TNA and was like, this is one badass wrestler.
Oh, yeah. She's come such a long way. And, like, she deserves, like I said, she deserves everything that she gets. She's, overall in the world, she's probably top 50 guaranteed. I would rank her off the top of my head. So I'm going to say top 50 guaranteed right now. She's honestly a lovely person. Met her at WrestleCade again. And then, like I was saying, so, like, it was one of those things where she wasn't going to win. I just hope, because AEW has a bad track record of this, and I'll get into that in a second. But they signed these women. And these women are stars,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? They got a heavy roster. But they sign these women, and they immediately throw them in these title matches. Immediately. And I get it, because, these are big signings. You throw them in these title matches.
Right.
But you're not ready to take the belt off whoever has the title at the moment. So these women, they lose, their first big matches, which is fine. But then it's like they lose this momentum, and AEW doesn't help them build it back up. And, it happened with Tyra Valkyrie, with Jade Cargill. It happened with Saraya. Immediately, she lost her big title match. Mm-hmm. They keep doing it, and it kind of upsets me. Originally, it happened with Toni Storm, and she reinvented herself, which is great. But they do this thing where they sign these big women, and I get real excited. They immediately put them in it happens every time. Immediately put them in a title match. They lose. And then it's kind of like they're a back thought, like no one thinks about it anymore. And I really hope this is not.
And now they're wrestling on ROH.
Right. And I really hope that's not a Deanna Purrazzo situation, especially because that Mercedes Moné signing is going to overshadow everybody, unless they whip out Okada.
Yeah.
They whip out Okada, then I'm losing my mind. But so it's just like I really hope that come Wednesday or Saturday or whatever, they start putting her either, some other matches, and they just keep her busy until she gets back up there, to get that other title shot. So I pray good things for her. Like I said, that's old, that's home girl. So
that's home.
You know what I mean? So
I want to see her and Serena Deeb go at it. It's one match I think she's going to have pretty soon.
Okay.
It's going to be a clinic.
It's going to be technical.
So when a match is advertised to steal the show with a title like that going in, the bar is already like this fucking high. And given the placement on the card, even I had my skepticism, but match went hard as fuck, man.
Dude. Oh man, the wait for Will Ospreay. Like, I tweeted, right, I was like, knowing that I'm gonna see one of the greatest of his generation, if not the greatest of his generation. Yeah. This man's only 31. He's still in his prime years. And he looked so happy to be there. That man looked so happy.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
The match that he had, and all props to Takeshita also, because the man's incredible. You're only as good as your dance partner, and these guys, man, they won the whole competition. 10s across the board.
Yeah.
That match had me on my seat, man. Like, part of me,
how could it?
Part of me went in that match saying, "There's no way Will Ospreay's losing his first match in AEW like that. There's no way." At some point, I sat there and said, "Oh man, Takeshita's they're gonna make him a bigger deal. He's gonna beat Will Ospreay immediately." And I was sitting there, I was like, "Nah, there ain't no way." Then I was like, "All right, bring in Don Callis, no interference, straight banger." Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
it was something like that was the biggest gift to the crowd because it was a straight match. Like if Don Callis would have came out and did some, rusty screwdriver shenanigans or even something little, tricked him on the rope, something, it would have took away from everything. Those guys delivered.
Yeah.
Like full on delivered, and it was incredible, man. Like incredible.
Dude, I'm fucking jealous.
Like I will say the only problem with this match was I get Sting had to be the main event. I get that. They should have placed it either before the women's match, so it would have went Will Ospreay, the woman, Samoa Joe, and the triple threat, Sting.
Yeah.
Because there was no way, and I'm not taking away from the Samoa Joe match. It was a great match, but there was no way they were going to live up to that. Like, we didn't have time to even process the Will Ospreay match. You know what I mean? It was like, we're sitting there, Swerve and all of them are doing their thing, and we're just like, man, Takeshita almost had Will Ospreay, and we're like halfway through this Swerve match. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have time to process as fans the magic that we just saw. I wish they would have placed it, and I'm not saying it had to be the women's match. I'm just saying there should have been a match between them and the title match. They should have opened the show, maybe. I don't know. We needed time to process the classic that they put on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean that's why I said like the placement of the match on the card is what made me skeptical as to like can it hold up to that bar that it's already set. And it held up, but people need to understand a live crowd perspective is a lot different. Right. You're really like more in tune with the show, so from a TV perspective, you might not think of that, but yeah, it's hard to digest a match when you just saw a 6-star banger. Right. So, yeah. Absolutely love the United Empire reunion. I mean, I'm a United Empire guy myself. I kind of thought Kyle Fletcher turning on Will Ospreay could have been like a turning point moment.
So
I was kind of thinking that was the move.
It was kind of hard to tell. They announced them for a match on Wednesday, or they announced a promo for them on Wednesday. I couldn't tell. They put up a graphic.
They're wrestling each other.
That's gonna be beautiful, especially if old boy is. I don't know if he's cleared, but if he can just come out and you have all three of them, it will be something great. I do think they're leaving the Don Callis family, right? Like, there's no way.
I'm hoping
Will's
they don't keep
too
Will Ospreay
over.
in the family.
He's too over to be getting booed with Don Callis. Like, there's no way right now.
Yeah. I share a birthday with Will Ospreay. Fun fact.
Oh, nice.
Share a birthday with that man's. So now we're on the AEW World Title match. Good for sure. I love Joe, but my thing on this has been I've been kind of ranting on this with all the momentum in the fucking world behind him. Tony Khan still can't pull the trigger on this Swerve Strickland title run.
So me and Marcus went to the show, and like I said, you know how it is when you go to a live event. You're with strangers, but these strangers you're all in the same mindset. You know what I mean? It's like so. Marcus was real big on we're gonna see history. We're getting the first black AEW champion. Like we need it. It needs to be Swerve. There's no one else on that roster who deserves that more than Swerve does. The guy to the left of me leaned forward. I kid you not. Leaned forward to me and Marcus and said, "They can't do that tonight because when that happens, that needs to be the moment for the pay-per-view." And when he said that, I 100% agreed. This show was about Sting. There was nothing on this show that was going to overshadow Sting. You know, and I sat there and I was like,
agreed.
If Swerve wins that title, it needs to be a one-on-one, which I think they set up because, he spoiler alert, he had the win and Joe stole it. He literally stole it. And that's not a Joe thing to do. You know what I mean? Joe went in and just straight up hijacked the entire win quick. He didn't acknowledge old boy or nothing. So it was Swerve's win. So I think having the triple threat, having Hangman take the loss, knowing that Swerve could beat Hangman, but he couldn't beat Joe, but Joe couldn't beat Swerve, makes the setup for their one-on-one match where they will main event and the moment will be all Swerves. Mm-hmm. There will be nothing else that can come out. If you do a debut or something, that's cool, but the whole idea needs to be when Swerve wins the belt, this is history. and it's his moment.
Right.
So I liked the finish. I thought it was. I mean, the match was a banger, but like I said, it took a minute to process.
Yeah.
But the swerve chants, oh man, I don't know how. Like I said, I don't know how we came off through the TV, but we did not stop the whose house.
So loud.
Like we were on it.
Loud.
We were trying to, we were trying to be Backlash Puerto Rico levels of loud. You know what I mean?
Damn, that's loud.
We was going for it.
And for me, it's like I can see it playing out long term. The payoff still being just as good. I'm just hoping that there's no momentum sacrificed in doing that, because Swerve is white hot,
Right.
and I would hate to see him get that moment whenever people have kind of come down from that energy.
Right. And, it's just one of those things, like, if Swerve, now that Swerve's going face, because that's what it looks like ain't nobody booing Swerve anymore.
Yeah.
He broke into a man's house, and we're like, yeah, man, talk to that baby. You know what I mean? Like, and, I always say, I'm like, his character is like, he's the Joker. Like, he has justified villainy. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't care about money and all that. Some people just want to see the world burn, and that's kind of like the mindset that he gives off. I think, there's nothing right now that can cut his momentum as long as he stays in the title picture. I think the Hangman stuff, you can ride that a little more. Hangman said, I'm going to make sure you don't leave champion. He technically did. He tapped out.
Technically did.
He tapped out.
Some would say that's why he tapped out.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's like you could ride that momentum a little bit. Give us one more banger between those two because their chemistry is undeniable. Let Joe beat somebody because, I was sitting there. I was like, I don't want Joe's title run to be short, but I understand if it has to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If anybody can have a short title reign without their legacy diminished at
Joe.
all, it's Joe.
And at this point, I think they just gave it to Joe just because Joe held a major title in every company but WWE. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to do that again. I don't count the NXT title as a major title, but
that's fair. He deserved to be WWE champion at least once.
As a transitional champion or something, but they dropped the ball on that one. But like I said,
Yeah, I just hope Tony doesn't drop the ball on Swerve here. I don't want to miss the assignment anymore.
Yeah, no, I think Tony has it locked in for him. When he cut that promo for the very first time, and it was just a throwaway line where he was like, "I'm gonna be the first African American champion for AEW," and I was sitting there and I was like, "Oh, he said that. Like they told him." You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't just say something like that. Like they told that man, "You're gonna be the first black champion."
Yeah. And it'll be a beautiful moment when it happens.
Oh, for sure.
When it happens. Dude, one thing that got me to pop from my couch seat was Ricky Steamboat coming out. I am a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I can't even say his name right now.
Fun fact, he is a lovely man. I live in North Carolina. We do this big WrestleCade event. It's a 3-day event every year. And this year, me and Marcus, we parked in this parking deck. We got an elevator. We was in there with Jordan Oliver, which is awesome. And, we're going down and we're like giving Jordan some space. And Jordan's like bodyguard or something was like, don't let no one else in the elevator. Well, when the door opens, you just hear this voice. And he's like, do y'all mind if I get on? I'm running late. And we all look. And Jordan's bodyguard's like, no. And Jordan's like, nah, stop. Man, that's Ricky. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat comes in the elevator with us. And he was a love dude. His security was like that. And he's like, guys, calm down. We're all here for the same purpose. Lovely man. He was a lovely man. And to see him come out, I'm glad they brought out some people for Sting. I think they said there were more people in the crowd. We couldn't see where we were sitting, but it was something, man. I popped for him, so. And he got involved, which was awesome.
Yeah. I was like, please don't kick Ricky. I love that, man.
But
yeah, I cannot wait to ask about Sting's last match live.
Oh man,
his final entrance, of course, was beautiful.
His son should be a wrestler. Like, dude, when he came out, I knew it wasn't Sting because the old boy was jacked. You know what I mean? When he came out with the 80 Sting gear, and I was like, damn, Sting got jacked overnight. And Marcus was like, nah, bro, that's his son.
He didn't lose 40 years.
He's like, that's his son. I was like, oh, bro, that's his twin. Like, they could have just kept Sting going on with him, like, paint him up. You know what I mean? But
that would Fuck me up.
The video package was awesome. The entrance was awesome. The dedication to him was awesome. The match. So everyone wondered why they chose the Young Bucks. You know, and watching that match live, I sat there and I said, they had to choose the Young Bucks because there was no other tag team that can get squashed by them right now. Because that beginning of the match, I mean, they were just whooping their ass. It was a handicap match for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was like 4-on-2.
Yeah, it was 4-on-2.
I was like, yo, and these are the good guys.
I was like, are the Elite reuniting? Like, why we got a 4-on-2 handicap match?
I was like,
who's saving the Bucks?
This is backwards booking. The good guys are like jumping up. You know what I mean? But it was still something that was amazing. And like I said, it was just like we were sitting there, and I was like, it had to be the Bucks because this will never hurt the Bucks. You know what I mean? But you put it against another tag team. You know, I think his last match should have been TNA people. Personally, that's my only request. I wish there was some TNA involved. I wish they could have called like a Kurt Angle or somebody. You know, Samoa Joe would have been good.
I wouldn't be mad at all.
I don't like to watch him wrestle anymore, but Jeff Hardy would have got a pop out of me for it, just for that reasons. Christian Cage would have been good.
Finish the story.
Right, you know what I'm saying? There's like I wish there would have been some TNA, but the Bucks, you know, they delivered really well. They put Sting through a table. Sting was doing Darby spots. I did not like that.
Yeah, dude, the spots in this match were fucking insane.
For
a last match, that's a way to go.
Speaking about spots, dude, that glass flew high, man. That glass flew high.
It was real glass.
We could see.
It was real glass.
We could see. You know, and I don't know, because like I said, you know, we're watching live. When Darby lands and he rolls over, you know, they showed the cuts and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But we could see the look on the medic's face. You know what I mean? Like, we never took our eyes off Darby. Like, Sting was wrestling and all. We never took our eyes off Darby. The look on the medic's face was scared, bro. They were holding towels on him, like, pressing down. You know what I mean? Like, they were pressing down on him. They could not stop that bleeding. Old boy ran out there. He was trying to stitch him up. When Darby got up, it was trying to get up. It, like, ripped reopen. It was, like, a whole thing, man. And, you know, props to Darby for finishing that match the way he did. You know, that man's tough as nails. You know, it always reminds me of, like, the SpongeBob episode where they're trying to get into the fitness club, and he's like, I had a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk. I was like, that's some Darby Allin stuff right there.
That is Darby energy.
But like, do you think Darby just like they'll run through these matches and they're like, yeah, Darby, we're going to do your chair spot, and Darby just like, you guys know what would be sick if we put 2 pounds of glass on there. And they're like, I don't think I want to do that, Darby. No, you guys can move. I'll just jump right through it.
It'll be okay. Dude.
But man, yeah, I mean, he jacked himself up, man. You know, and they carried on the match well. I still feel like the Bucks doing the Shawn Michaels. I'm sorry, I still love you. Moment. Beautiful. Sting going off the ladder. Sting going through glass scared me. Especially about what the hell just happened.
Like, what did we just see?
Yeah, it was like, you know, Darby getting up. Man, he looked red. You could see him from a mile away.
Why are we making Darby wrestle? Now he's got to wrestle Jay White on Wednesday? Like, no, give that man a little break.
So, you know, of course, well, I'll get to what I was going to say running in the timeline. But, you know, of course, I thought Sting was going to lose. I don't see the point in having them retire the belts. Not retire the belts, but, you know, vacant the belts. Yeah. But Tony Khan loves a tournament, as I've been told, and that's fact. So if this gets the tag team division back on rolls, you know what I mean? And we get some bangers with the Lucha Brothers. We get some bangers, you know what I'm saying, with the Kingdom. That's cool. But we get, like, Top Flight. You know what I'm saying? We get these guys that been kind of overshadowed for the tag team division. You know, we still got BCC. We got FTR. Throw them all in this big old tournament. And I'm all for it. Like, tag team wrestling is always exciting for me. It's one of my favorite types of wrestling. So I'm like all for that. Where did the show cut off for you guys?
Oh, it cut out in the middle of his speech. I had to go on YouTube to finish the speech.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say we weren't sure. Sting actually told us, he was like, "Oh, I'm getting cues that we're off the air," and then he threw up the little club and everything. But
Oh, we didn't get that part. We didn't get the too sweet.
oh yeah, he threw up the too sweet. What killed me, and this was like the funniest thing to me, Darby was in that ring the whole time, bleeding, just bleeding. So he grabs the mic. He's like, "I want to thank everybody, but I'm going to the hospital," and like rolls out the ring, right? So we're like, "Yeah, Darby,
overdue."
This guy rolls out the ring, walks up the ramp, right? Stops, takes pictures with fans, like just standing there, bro, taking pictures, bleeding out, and we're all just looking at him like, "Bro, go to the hospital." Stops, looks back at the ring, goes back to the ring to get the title, grabs the title, walks up the ramp. At this point, everybody's coming down, or, going to the ramp side to acknowledge Sting. And Tony Schiavone does the It's thing, and Darby stays on the ramp. And we're all just sitting there like, bro, go to the hospital. Everyone was going up to him, like Orange Cassidy went up to him, Swerve Strickland went up to him, Max Caster went up to him. Like, they all went up to him and they're like leaning over, and then everyone's like, "I wonder what they're saying." They're probably telling him a good match. I was like, they're probably telling him to get help.
Like, bro, leave.
Bro, it's gonna be okay.
If Darby Allin was wrestling in the late '90s, he would have died very quickly.
Oh man, him and Foley would have been a tag team, and they just would have been killing themselves.
Yeah.
But
another thing on the match too, I was blown away at the amount of time Sting kicked out, because I was like you. I'm in the adage of like legends go out on their back. That's how everybody retires. So I was expecting them to lose as well, but the amount of times he kicked out,
the one spots, the one spot was crazy. I was like, "Oh man," with the V trigger.
Yeah.
I was sitting there. I was like, he did that one, and you know what? It got a pop out of me. Even though they did the one spot, I think 3 times in 3 different matches. And each time it got a pop out of me. Because it was just like, I was not expecting it. But, like I said, if they had to retire the belts, I assume, that's why I kind of don't like it. Because now Sting's going to be on Dynamite, right? He's going to give a farewell speech. He's going to retire the titles. But it's just like, for me, as a fan, I wanted the last time I see you was that night. You know what I mean? Unless they bring him back in like a year to be a GM, which I think that's the move. Like, it should be.
That would be insane.
Like, you get TNA's thing, like, sunglasses, silk back hair, no face paint, just suit, like main event mafia style, and he's the GM. Because that AEW needs a GM. I've been saying this since they started. They need a character that is authority. You know what I mean?
I can agree.
That just makes matches. It doesn't have to be like a super powerful GM or nothing like that. It just needs someone to confirm matches and complete the little plot holes and storylines and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
We need Teddy Long.
Right. There needs to be somebody to blame when these guys get these matches and there's no explanation except for Tony Khan wanted it together. But now we could be like, "Oh man, Sting is doing this." You know what I mean? I think Sting is the move. It has to be someone that people fear and someone who doesn't fear other people. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want your first GM to be weak. And I think Sting would be the perfect move for that. Just to keep him in the company, keep him involved. He doesn't have to wrestle. I think that's the move that they should do with Sting.
Dude, I stamp it. I like this idea.
But
stamp of approval.
Yeah, Tony Khan was a little drunk, I think, man. He was wobbling. He was wobbling over there.
Come on, Tony.
It was like one of the things, like him and Dax. Dax was on the stage the whole time. He was crying, and then like Tony he sounded drunk in his promo. Left, he was wobbling out, and Dax like caught him, and they were laughing up together. I was like, they're getting tore up back there.
Dax was giving him some tequila again.
Mm-hmm.
Bad influence. So, I guess final question here: what was your favorite moment of the night? I mean, was it the Will Ospreay match? Was it Sting?
Look, the whole Sting, seeing how much people love Sting was something beautiful to see. I know Sting from TNA. I didn't, WCW, obviously I backtrack now. But my first introduction to the man was TNA. And I used to watch it with my stepdad, and he, he's the biggest Sting fan, and he explained to me like this and that. I was a big Kurt Angle fan. Like, Kurt Angle was my favorite wrestler of all time, you know? And it's like,
Interesting.
so I watched TNA all the time because that's where Kurt Angle was, you know? But, you know, obviously Sting being a big part of there, he kept TNA alive, you know? And it's something that, like I said, I wish they would have had more TNA stuff in this final match. I really do. But that being said, not taking away from anything, there was nothing in that night that had me stand up as much as Will Ospreay and Takeshita. Going at it, you know, just nonstop. Everything was beautifully transitioned. There was one spot where they almost messed up and somehow they made it look flawless. It was like, it was honestly, it's probably going to be my match of the year. Mainly biased because I was there. But it's also the match that I'm looking forward to rewatching on TV to see all the little things that I missed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, I have to rewatch this match. I have to break it down. Will Ospreay, because, you know, now he's in North America. We're all getting the opportunity to see him now. But it's like one of those superstars, you know, and I'll say it like Okada, for example. If I would have saw Okada, it's one of those superstars that I never thought I would got to see. You know what I mean? And Will Ospreay is one of those superstars. Like, I never thought he was going to run the North America market for good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he came, he visited, but it was never close to me. But now it's like, he's here for, what, they said, like 5 years or something. He's with AEW. Like, that's crazy to me.
Dude, I'm excited.
Like,
for that same reason.
You know, they got people like Pac is coming back. You know, he got a promo before.
Yes.
You know, like, that match is going to be crazy. You know, Kenny gets healthy. Their rematch is going to be crazy. Their third match is going to be crazy. You know what I'm saying? You still got Takeshita. Let that be his all-time, you know, his back to it. That's his shoe. You know what I mean? You need a banger, throw them two together.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The matches that Will Ospreay is going to have on this whole thing, to me, watching that last night, and I was just sitting there and I was like, this is where AEW picks back up. They hit a hard point.
That's a very good note.
You know what I'm saying? They hit a hard note when they lost Punk. And, you know, for those reasons, you know, Punk was Punk. He brought a crowd. He took that crowd. But this guy being in North America and putting on these absolute bangers, there's nobody, and I'm not, you know, not trying to bash on the other companies, but there's nobody who can do what that man can do right now at that level with anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I can't think of a bad match that he could have. You could put him against Danhausen, and I think they'll have an absolute banger because it's Will Ospreay. You know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing that like, this is the turning point for AEW to rise back up to what they were supposed to be, and that's professional wrestling alternative. The alternative to WWE, and I'm real excited for it.
That wave definitely went down when you lost Punk, MJF, Adam Cole, Better Than You Baby, their hottest storyline. Kenny Omega had to leave. Like, yeah, it really has been kind of a dip, and last night was kind of a resurgence. It felt like, I don't know how we didn't mention Pac returning. That was a huge one.
Yeah, dude, and his promo was awesome. Like, it was awesome. But yeah, like, that's just something, like, it's so exciting to know that, and you know, the rumors are they got Okada. That's why I keep bringing it up. It's like, Okada's one of my...
We thought he was going to return last night.
Oh, dude. So we and Marcus were thinking, we were like, what if he, like, Takeshita won and Okada came out? Or, you know, Will Ospreay won and Okada came out. And then I was sitting there, I was like, no. And I was like, what if Orange Cassidy won and Okada challenged him? Because he just gave title matches, you know what I mean? I was, like, thinking of every situation where Okada could come out. I was like, you know what, Tony Storm... Luther drops her and Okada comes out. I don't know. I just want Okada to come out.
Dude.
But, you know, unfortunately he didn't come out. I hope they don't do it all at Big Business. I hope they don't do a double thing, because let that be Mercedes moment.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's what they did to Adam Cole with the Daniel Bryan stuff. And, you know, it was great, but you can't do that twice. So...
Can't do it twice.
I'm excited to see wherever Okada goes, because honestly, it's Okada, and as long as he goes to North American market, I don't care what company he's in. You know what I mean? I just want to see the man. Like, that's the guy for me.
Dude,
but that's what I'm saying. Like,
it doesn't even feel real hearing that.
Like, that man left Japan. Like, holy crap.
It'll be interesting to see, and I guess we'll see a big business.
Mm.
Really appreciate you sitting and going over this pay-per-view with me. It was really cool to get someone who was there live.
Yeah, man, I appreciate
especially.
the invite. Like, Chance was like, "Hey, I think they're trying to reach out to you," and I was busy on my phone. I was like, "Yeah, just tell him I can do it in the morning." Because he was talking about doing it the night after, but like, so
yeah,
my brother lives 40 minutes from the arena, from the Coliseum, and I had to drive 40 minutes back to my house because my kid was at my mom's house. So I had to go pick up my kid at like 2 a.m. So I was like, just tell him in the morning. I was like, I'll be up in the morning. I promise. It don't matter how much sleep I get. I'll be there.
Yeah. It was gonna be at nighttime because I had, of course, get up, drive 5 hours to Raw.
Right.
But I was like, there's an hour difference between our time zones. I can do it. It's no problem, and it worked out eloquently.
Yeah.
I might add. So thank you.
Oh, of course. Anytime. Yeah, anytime you need somebody, man, I'll come and talk it up.
And everybody can catch us back together during this 3-count trivia because your boy is in the finals and you are our esteemed judge that I have not bribed.
Nah. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Y'all are lovely people. I didn't think y'all was going to make it this far. I thought
Dude,
the
we
mics.
got
I thought
blessed.
the mics would be in the finals. I really did. Like when you guys beat Crew Day, I was like, ooh, that was close, And then the mics, they took out, Coffee and Wrestling. So I was like, the mics might go pretty far. And when you guys beat the mics,
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I was like, now it all just depends on who you guys are going to face. You know what I mean? But you guys are playing championship
I know my
culture.
shit pretty well.
I'm redoing the entire quiz right now, trying to get it to that level of finals. But I will say 2 of the rounds from the last show are coming back for the final. I'm not gonna tell you what rounds, except for Monotone, because Monotone's always on the show. But 2 other rounds are going back to that. So if
it's that belt history, yeah, I'm in for my money.
Hey man, that belt.
I know my stuff decently though.
That belt is beautiful. You gotta.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to take it everywhere.
I won't spray paint on it either. We win that belt, we will do you guys justice. We will do you guys justice.
But yeah, man, I mean, good luck, man. Like I said, what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I work real hard on these quizzes. I'm like real excited to do this final one. I already had one, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna redo it. I was like, I don't like it.
They're hard. They're hard. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years watching wrestling. It's fucking hard.
But yeah.
Well, all right. Thank you again for joining
Of
me.
course.
I will close it off here.
I don't know if this